Hello, everyone. My name is Andres Diaz. Me and Will are back again for Marvel Plus Talk on a TV weekly discussion on Moon Knight, Episode 2, title Summon the Suit. Will, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very good. And right out of the bat, I think Episode 2, Summon the Suit by Moon Knight was really great. I think it,
hmm
delivered uh, everything that I want from the show. I think it was kind of cool to see, more Ethan Hawke, author, the main villain, and then the main love interest, which I was kind of surprised we got her here.
Yeah.
And then she was really great. I really liked her, and it was really cool to get more like inside depth on who Mark Spector is as a
hmm
person before we saw his personality taking over the body after Steven like languished that role. And so that was so cool. But what's your opinion on episode 2?
Yeah, no, I thought it was really good as well. And I liked that we got to spend a little bit more time with Arthur Harrow,
Yes. Yeah.
learn his like motivation, his backstory. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, I liked being introduced to Mark
Uh,
and
and
learning more about like his deal with Khonshu.
yeah, that one was I was kind of surprised that we even get that.
hmm
Like he made a deal, and then like if they made a deal after he relinquished, the role of Moon Knight, the next person is the girlfriend, right?
hmm
And or the fiance. That's another big reveal we
The
saw.
wife, I think.
The wife? Yes, the wife. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Thank you. So the wife. Uh, and so like that was like a huge revelation, which was very unique and just add like personal stakes
hmm
at the same time with this other stake that we're also dealing with the MacGuffin and all that and like what like the end like the ending the world or something bringing this creature motif that we always see in movies, and it's just crazy.
hmm
um so all right, so let's so we got the first scene from the trailer where he ties himself up in the bed again, and then we get
hmm
the funny scene of him like trying to get out, he was like dreaming, and then he woke up from the nightmare, and then he got up in this very funny thing where he just got bounced back from that like tie up thing in his neck ankle, which is so
hmm
funny. It was just so hilarious. And then obviously he goes back to the museum, and like havoc, like critical damage and happen in the bathroom. And so
hmm
this is one of my funniest scenes, is him talking to the guard to show him the recording scene, and that was
hmm
so hilarious. And like the guy still continues to like misspell Steven's name still, which
hmm
is insane. um and where was he that night? Like, I thought the creature can kill him, but that's just me. Anyway, what do you think, Will? um,
Yeah, I thought that was a good scene. And it was like a good reveal that no one else could see the like Egyptian monsters that were chasing him.
yes. Which we
Yeah.
continue to do that throughout this episode.
hmm
I think who was it? Late. Not is
Yeah,
her name
Layla.
Lydia? Yeah. Like she discovered how like she kind of does the visible man thing where she splashed some water or something like. Could you explain what she throw water right at that creature to see like?
I think she like broke a like bottle of wine or something. Like
Oh,
she
okay.
threw a bottle of some drink at the creature and it like broke and then the liquid was
Liquid was there.
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, because I was confused. I was like, where she got like holy water or something like that. I was like, whoa, that was very convenient. Okay, that makes sense. Um, yeah, it was yeah, very cool way to like do kind of like this like like I don't know, you've seen this movie RPD starring Ryan Reynolds.
No.
You don't see the ghosts or the dead spirits, but you just see this like disguise they see, and so it's kind of like that where you don't see the creature at all. It's like just you cannot physically see it. It's
Mhm.
just it's very visible, and it's kind of neat. And just kind of wonder, is that like the spell as well? Like, is that what Arthur does to kind of keep it very like ambiguous? Because it like this whole episode has that like Legion vibe. Like all of a sudden we're in this. Like, all of a sudden these people just came out of nowhere, which I was we're kind of transformed into this other like not universe, like you know what I mean, like another pocket, like another pocket of this town. At
Mm.
first was like liveless, but then all of a sudden people just randomly appear, and
Mm.
like I love that they add that kind of mystique to the supernatural, which I like, because we don't do that as often in the MCU, which I like. um and so like of course getting back to that, like he sees Mark, of course, who's controlling the body, of course, during that time.
Mm.
And this is where he goes to the locker, and of course he sees the money, and then of course he sees the ID, or ID or passport, right?
Yeah, passport.
Yeah, and then this is where he talks to Mark, and I really love their exchange. I really like the character dynamic between Mark and Steven. Like it. I don't know. Like the sense I get from this episode specifically. It seems like Steven is like a new personality, right? Like
Mm.
he's like new. He doesn't know really what's going on. I want to get into like I created like this new segment called nitpicks, right?
Okay.
And I want to nitpick one thing, is like I want to know, is this, are we going to do like a psychological like personality like disorder, or is this part of the Moon Knight powers, something that conscious like did to Mark to bring him back to life, had some side effect? Like I'm kind of curious, like why.
I Yeah.
Go ahead,
I
go
don't
ahead.
I don't think they've been very explicit with it, but there was that one line about like uh I think it was Arthur Harrow said it. He's like, "Did Khonshu pick you because your mind was already broken, or because
Mm,
your mind would be easy to break?"
break, yeah. Yes, that's true, and he did say that in the trailers. If you see the trailers, but yeah, yeah, I no, no, I remember that line. Yeah, it kind of ties in if we see a flashback of him in a mental hospital. I seen one scene where he's in like this like white room and
Yeah. I mean,
like
it might not be a flashback. It could be coming up.
could be. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so I'm very curious about that. Because it's not like Legion, like David had in the show. If you guys seen the show, where like we seen he was like he had like he, like he had the typical like TV or movie like disorder that we kind of pick, unfortunately. Like, oh, he hears voices and
Hmm.
that. Of course, I spoilers if you've seen it. Of course, all of that he didn't know that was also the voices, or the image of the little man in or the man in the little eyes was the Shadow King, of course. So yeah, I'm very curious to see if we get like where we're gonna take that, like
Hmm.
this these different Moon Knight personalities,
Hmm.
because I don't want it to be like oh, he's like normal, and that these personalities are just from the powers or the
Yeah.
steel,
I
you
I
know.
think yeah, I think whether or not he had a dissociative identity disorder before he got his powers, or if they're a side
Hmm.
effect, it's not going to be like they're going to treat it like it's just like a mental illness and not
Okay.
like yeah.
Okay, because it could be like comfortable for me. Whenever like whatever episode in this show does like a flashback or information
Hmm.
that maybe he carries some pills, like specific description, then I feel comfortable where they're gonna go. and that they're going, disorder, like you mentioned before, Will, that his mind was easy to break
Hmm.
because he had something in his, with that. So okay, so because that was something I'm very curious to see, and right now I'm a little hesitant, as I said, but I just really love Steven. He's such a fun character. I love his reaction, or like his plan to give the money, and then was it the scarab, and
Hmm.
to the police. It's just so funny. And then I like how Mark is trying to stop him, and this part was funny. He's trying to run away, and I love how they do the horror trope of like the lights sprinkling in
Hmm.
in in the um storage room, or storage, what do you call it, apartment, or whatever you call it. And
Hmm.
it was just funny how he reacts to it. And and then he meets Leia. This is where we meet Leia here,
Hmm.
and it was just so funny. And I will say, we get into this new character, Leia. She's great. I really like this actress. I haven't seen her anything, so I'm like,
Hmm.
she's very proactive, and I like that. And I like how she's integrated into the plot line for this show. And so, like, we get hints. Like, I like how this episode hints that she was going to be the next Moon Knight, or, when the deal that Mark, did for Kanshu,
Hmm.
and like she was going to be the next one to be taking over. So, like, that was very neat. And I like how you didn't you didn't know until we got the confirmation towards the end of the episode.
Hmm.
But what do you think about Leia as a character so far?
Yeah, I think she's interesting. I like her dynamic with both Mark and Steven.
Mm,
I
yes,
really
yes.
liked that moment in Steven's apartment where he like recites the French poem,
Oh, yes.
and it's revealed that it's her favorite poet. So there's like something in Mark's mind that's like creating Steven to be uh,
like
like a reflection of Layla.
yeah, yeah, like maybe he doesn't, like, maybe, like, because you know how, like, the opposite, we don't like the thing from our spouse or someone, like we're not like have the same interest, right?
Hmm.
And so I think one of the things, it's kind of interesting, maybe Mark is trying to like build some trust to Leia, to Steven,
Mm.
like, because she's not going to trust Mark because of like the history we're kind of have glimpses to this episode,
Yeah.
and so he's trying to give Steven a chance to trust Leia, but of course Steven is just making a whole mess with the situation.
Hmm.
So yeah, and yeah, and then the divorce papers, I was so shocked. I was like, oh. And and it was kind of intriguing to hear Mark saying not to get her in part of this mission,
Hmm.
and so I'm, after the reveal, of course, you get why he didn't want Leia to be part of this mission. So, and because of what's going to happen. So, um and then we get to the police, and man, this who is this Scotty guy, or this chubby man, just like, hey, let me in this house. Like, what a rude person. I mean, until we reveal that they're actually the bad guys.
Yeah.
um yeah, and like, so Steven gets taken custody, and like, and then this is where it gets like kind of like Spider-Man Homecoming vulture scene a little bit. Like,
Hmm.
you think they're the police, they start going down to this is, by the way, good expedition to like learn a little bit of Mark Spector.
Hmm.
So here, speaking of information, we get confirmation from his passport. Specifically Mark Spector. He's from Chicago, which that's from the comics.
Hmm.
That's neat. That's where he was born. And then here, you get the mercenary role. He's well known. Get that? That's kind of cool. And then it gets kind of creepy after they start talking to him, and they go to this very secluded town of London, of course.
Hmm.
And of course, Mark is talking to Steven, and of course, Mark is trying to tell Steven to let him control the body again. And I like how the scene starts to get kind of eerie, and then here we see again Arthur, uh, the villain here, played by Ethan Hawke, and I just so happy we're seeing more of him in the episode. I was a little worried that we're not gonna like. It's tough to like give your villain so much screen time,
Hmm.
and I really appreciate that we are giving Arthur Harrow, the villain, like a lot of time to develop. And you mentioned the quote that he'd say to Steven, like, oh, like he got you because your mind was maybe strong or like easy to break, like, man, Ethan Hawke is killing it in this role in this episode. I'm really happy to see the results of his character. What do you think about his role here so far?
Yeah, I agree. He's doing a really good job. Yeah, there's that like calmness to him that like kind of draws you in. He's got charisma, and then
Yeah.
you like listen to what he's saying. You're like, oh, you're a
Vegan.
sociopath.
I was going to say vegan. I thought you were saying
Very
vegan.
different. Yeah. No.
Oh my god.
No, like I liked that moment with Steven where they were like talking, and Steven's like, yeah, like I kind of get your philosophy, and he's like, but what do you do with children? And he's like,
Yes.
sometimes you gotta make hard choices.
Yes. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was-
yeah, and my other favorite was like he knows he's a vegan, and like it's
Mhm.
like, oh, we're like, I don't know, we're vegans too, and here we have the specialty of was it yanta soup, or I'm sorry, was it
I don't remember.
yeti soup? It was one of these vegan like soups, basically.
Mhm.
Conveniently, I don't know how they did, and that was like all funny. Like I like how casual he is for Steven to like give him the the scarab, and it was cool to see him activate, getting the dogs to chase after Steven and Layla. It was good to see his powers activate, and I like how it's purple. So I'm kind of curious if he has some like chaos magic that's similar to Harkness
Mhm.
from WandaVision. So I'm kind of curious about that. But or it's just like he has the same like line that Harkness has, by from training or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, like this whole scene was just really great. And then Steven, like again, great character. His comedic timing is so well done. Like you mentioned how he's questioning, Arthur, and like what are you gonna do? Like this is so unethical, and it was just so hilarious.
Mhm.
And then I think I love that I love that Arthur knows that Khonshu is talking to him, and he's like, oh, he's probably there saying this, like he's what was
Mhm.
the one that was so funny. He's like, Khonshu says this line, oh, I'm the Avenger or something like that,
Yeah.
or what was it?
I don't remember. It was.
Yeah.
I know it was like they smashed two of like Moon Knight's comic titles together.
Yes, that's what they did. And then Arthur say it as well. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, this, I am this. And
something of vengeance, I think.
yeah, let me pull out. I have the Easter eggs. I know they say something here. Um, but what other topics that you were watching this episode that intrigued you about the development of Mark and Steven? Like, what was the standout in terms of the
Um, Yeah, I'm really looking forward to learning more about Mark's like background and the events that turned him into the Moon Knight.
Mm, yes, yes, because
They said something about him being dead.
oh yeah,
So
I'm
yeah, I
I'm
want to see what that's about.
I yeah, I'm very curious about that as well because if he did die, it's kind of interesting that he came back having these like multiple personalities and like
Yeah.
just it's very intriguing. Okay, I having no luck finding them. It was something vengeance or something like that.
hmm
Um, but yeah. Speaking of Moon Knight, like it was also also want to bring up that also author was a Moon Knight himself as well. That was something that
Yes.
was brought up. So it's kind of interesting that because you kind of get a sense of it when he was talking to Steven before he goes to the like cafe
hmm
like area, and so it was very interesting that he knows some like how the Moon Knight powers or like I don't know what you call it, like personality or the role is controlling Steven,
hmm
and so it was kind of intriguing that he knows all this stuff. And then of course he reveals that he was one of them, which is intriguing. So so I'm
Yeah, it
very
was
curious.
surprising.
Yeah, so I'm very curious where we're gonna go for that, and how he and this is where I'm kind of curious, like how do you get out of the role? That's another thing. Like how did Arthur got to be the Moon Knight, and then how he got out of that, or I guess the deal. Like if you made a deal with Khonshu, then you're not temporary. You're not like in this long term in this Moon Knight role. It's like only temporary because you made a deal, right?
hmm
Like
Yeah.
it's like very intriguing with the information we're getting. Uh,
Yeah, I think once the deal is complete, you're free to go.
yes, I'm very curious about that. Um, okay, here we go. Yeah, because and he say he was like an avatar.
Yeah.
So yeah, here I find it. He say I was the fist of vengeance.
Yeah, yeah.
That was I just find it out. Yes, that's what he say, and it's funny because it's similar to the spirit of vengeance of Ghost Rider,
Mm,
like mantra. So it's very intriguing. We're doing that as well.
hmm
Yeah. So yeah, that was that scene was funny when he say that when Kanchi say the fits of vengeance, and then I love how authors say, "Oh, the fits of vengeance."
hmm
It was so funny. Um, yeah. Oh my god, that was hilarious. Yeah, and that's why I'm saying I'm concerned about them not doing the disorder or all that because of the information that this episode mentioned. Like, it's an avatar, like the Moon Knight. Like you're a avatar for this Moon Knight thing. So that's why I was a little concerned about that.
Yeah, no, they're definitely doing the dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah,
And like whether or not it was caused by him becoming Conchu's avatar, like it is just like a mental illness that he struggles with, and it's not like
yeah,
something that Conchu's necessarily like doing to him.
yeah. I agree. Yeah, and then yeah, especially how Mark like you get this towards the end of the episode, you have him talking to Steven, and Steven is like he's not used to being locked into this like astral projection like area, or
Yeah.
and it's like he's like freaking out,
hmm
and like Mark is just having this like he's just having this like headache from him, and then he has this like mental attack on the like mirror, and then you don't see his reflection or Steven. Like you don't see Steven at all, and it's like very surreal. It's like okay, you
hmm
know. And when we get to the end of the episode, I'm like curious that Kanshu transported him into that Egyptian area that we see towards the end of the episode, like, or it's just like a cool cut we just did. But well, we'll get to that. And so I was trying to figure out. So after, Arthur is trying to plead Stephen to give him the scarab, and then can you remind me what happened? Did Leia jump in and she started to attack one of the like cult members? Like I
She like jumped in and showed that she had the scarab.
Yes. Okay.
Um,
And yeah. Okay. Because
yeah, and then that like distracted them so Steven could get away, and then the two of them ran.
yeah. So we get her attacking one of the members, and Steven is trying to meet her, and I think same time like we're seeing Arthur getting the Egyptian dog out of like making a spell and bringing the dog we saw from the last episode, and
Mhm.
and of course Leia and Steven are talking, and then we get I think the biggest surprise I ever saw was we saw Mr. Knight in this
Mhm.
episode, and that was a shock when he's like, get the suit, and then he summoned the suit, which I love the title. It's reflecting how like Steven like summoned the suit, but he actually literally made a new suit.
Mhm.
And by the way, I love the Mr. Knight. It looks so comic accurate, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, oh my god, and Steven um playing the Mr. Knight is so funny. It's like
Mhm.
when he's so happy that he knocked the dog out, and then it, oh my god, that scene killed me. I was so laughing so hard for that scene. It was just hilarious. But yeah, were you surprised that Mr. Knight debut in this episode? Like, oh my god,
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it so soon. I thought it
yeah,
was going to be later when Steven learned to like embrace Khonshu a little more.
yeah. I thought we are gonna get that either like either he was committed, or like he didn't know how to control the powers. Like he was having that like Spider-Man discovered the power thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like I thought like, oh, he was trying hard. Excuse me. He was trying hard to get the suit like summoned, and
Hmm.
then we get this like montage of like summon the suit.
Yeah.
So Mr. Knight, very cool reveal. Love his suit. Uh, like so. Um, uh, I mean, what else I can say about Mr. Knight? Well, was there like it was interesting that I'm curious if they're gonna address this. Like, why did Grant? Yeah, right. Grant
Hmm.
made this completely new suit, and then the one that we got from Mark Spector, the other suit that is like the comic accurate one from
Hmm.
like do you have any theories about that? Like why we have this like separate suits?
Yeah,
Like
I think it's going to be because each avatar of Khonshu gets their own suit, and since they're like distinct
oh
personalities and
yeah,
distinct people, they get different suits.
okay, that makes a lot of sense. I wasn't thinking about that. Oh dear. Okay, that makes a lot of sense because it makes sense after Mark took over the body,
Hmm.
he dons the actual suit we saw from the first episode,
Yeah, the Moon
and
Knight suit.
yeah. So, and by the way, after Steven like reluctantly let Mark take over his body,
Hmm.
I really dug, see Moon Knight going to rooftops
Hmm.
and trying to stop the creature, and like it reminded me so much of like Batman, and like
Yeah,
and
they're
it yeah it
very
like
similar, like
he,
at least aesthetically. Yeah,
yeah, and it was funny to see like his what Moon Knight battering, whatever you want to call it,
yeah, the
um
moon ring.
moon rings. Yes, oh my god, yes, that I wish I think they actually say that. I think in the comics,
Yeah,
oh my god,
it feels familiar.
yeah, oh my god, that is hilarious. Oh my god, yeah, it was neat to see, and it was like very clever how he like killed the creature as well. Like he had to bring him into the moon. Um,
Hmm.
and by the way, I love the actressing here. Like it was kind of like very under the nose. Like if you were paying attention, like you're seeing the moon in the background while they're like he was like running and
Hmm.
like getting the creature to this specifically spot he wanted to kill him and like vanquish this creature.
Hmm.
And it was kind of cool. This in the background, you see the moon, and like you didn't realize that that's what he's trying to do. That how to vanquish this creature is by using the moon. It's almost like the werewolf thing. Is when the full moon comes out, it transforms. But when the full moon gets blocked by a cloud or something, you revertedly turn back. So like it's kind of cool. What
Hmm.
like you're building up these rules of supernatural Egyptian whatever culture that we're getting for this show, and so it's very neat. Uh, and I'm looking now what his weapons are called because I am just okay. Here we go. I think he has a moon copter. Just saying. Uh, he has that.
Yeah,
And
I mean that might not show up,
oh
but
my god, it should because like he's literally Batman. Like I
I
I
guess if the Thanos copter can show up at some point, then
oh my god. Ah, God, I'm so. Oh wait. There's an article that compares him to Batman. I can maybe find
okay. Yeah, I
his
think it's a pretty common
like yeah, it's a pretty
comparison.
yeah comparison. I mean, whenever we're going to talk about Daredevil, like he's another like person that gets compared to Batman. You know.
Hmm.
Um. Anyway. And speaking of comic book references, the Fist of Vengeance is also like a switch up from the comics when when he claims Khonshu wants him to be Moon Knight, it's left the fist of Khonshu. Like it's almost
Hmm.
like an anagram. So like that's another thing I want to bring up. That's like another deep pull from the comics. But yeah. Uh, anyway, and oh, and it's interesting that Steven gets the Mister Knight
Hmm.
because I think this is for Jack Lockreed, the taxi
Yeah,
cab driver. So it's also
right.
interesting that Steven has this first before Jack. So yeah. So
Yeah, I wonder if we're gonna see any other personalities in the show, um,
mm,
and which
yeah,
ones, if we are.
yeah, or or we're gonna reveal that maybe um the deal that Mark did,
Hmm.
maybe Jack was his first personality, right?
Oh, could be.
Right, and
Hmm.
then some reason his encounter with Arthur or his cult, something happened during the mission and it killed Jake, right? Or Jack. Sorry,
Hmm.
not Jake. Jack. And that Steven is this new birth personality because of now this other one has died, literally, from Mark's mind, maybe.
Hmm.
Which it could explain why Steven is just isn't aware of what's going on about, the mission or what is in stake, because it's like it's interesting because Mark is aware of things and like I'm curious if Jake or Jack, I'm sorry, it's weird, Jake, whatever, this other personality, does he is self-aware as well, or is it like Steven where it's just he's kind of like aloof of what's going on, so
Hmm.
I'm thinking that's gonna happen because we do need to like bridge the gap between Steven and Mark, which we're gonna get in probably next episode. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's so but during the time of this chase, we see that Arthur got the scarab, very easy. somehow. And Leia seeing this, and then Leia took off.
Mhm.
And so like so it kind of like leads up to like it just I guess we see either the villain will know that the next location is going to be Egypt. Oh my god, Egypt, because Spectre is there already. So I'm kind of curious if he's going to be there already, or like he's going to be a little behind from Mark Spector. So I'm kind of curious about that one. So but yeah, so so after that, I mentioned the scene where Mark is he killed the creature. He gets the Steven is talking to him, and like it's a great scene, and I did feel sorry for Steven to be locked up, and uh, and then Mark, not being very like sympathetic to Steven's situation. Like
Mhm.
it just makes me not like Mark at all. You know what he's doing. So, what do you think about that final scene and all that?
Yeah, no, I thought it was interesting to see like the conflict with Khonshu. Um,
Yeah. Um. I like
yeah,
Kashu.
yeah, no, he's
Very.
really yeah, funny, intimidating, all the things you'd want him to be.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. And
um, yeah, and I'm curious to see like what's going on in Egypt at the very end there.
yes, I'm very curious about that. And I'm just curious if we're gonna have an episode where are we gonna have both like a present day story and a flashback story?
Could
Like
be,
you
yeah, we
know,
could see what happened to Mark.
yeah, because I'm very like intrigued about Mark Spector as a
Hmm.
character,
Yeah.
and because we have Steven like so far from the last two episodes, so I'm like ready to get into Mark as a character now.
Hmm.
and and I think these first two episodes did a really good job of like slowing you in with the different personalities. Jump right, like you you're with this one character for two episodes max, and then I don't know how they're going to do it, but like maybe in episode 3 and 4 we spent more time with Mark, and
Hmm.
then maybe episode 5 6, if Jack is alive, or like he's is present in the show, that could be a focus there, because
Yeah.
because I like we kind of got this in Legion. um I'm sorry, I'm comparing this to Legion, but there's similarities too. Not only to Batman, but also Legion.
Mhm.
Uh, David Haler, or whatever you call his last name. Um, like I don't know, you remember this? Like in season 2, we got that one episode where we were following him in different timelines.
Mm.
Like there was a homeless David, there was like the rich David, and then um, oh my god, it's been a while to see that episode. I love that episode. And then there was like the other one that was like he was like he was like medicated, like he was very quiet, like slow, because he was taking meds. It was an interesting episode, and I kind of wish that show did more, like we were maybe seeing different personalities of David being like characters, like what
Mhm.
this show is doing, because we didn't get that. We only saw glimpses of that in Legion. So I'm actually happy for that. For we're getting that, which is good. So now I want to get into like major like nitpicks or negatives. Will so let me let you go and ask what was some of your negatives or nitpicks of this episode, that if you have one. What was the ones that kind of was glaring for you in this episode?
I don't think I have any. Not to say that it was perfect, but there
Okay.
wasn't anything that like stood out as like
Mhm.
irritating.
Okay.
At least not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Um, I
Yeah,
have okay,
yeah, go
because
for it.
yeah, I have just a quibble, which
Mhm.
is not. It's a silly thing. It was very sad to see Steven lose his job for like
Yeah, yeah, it
I
was.
like. I mean, first off, yes, he was there, but like I, I'm sorry. Like it's been like a couple of days seeing the episode, but like why did they fire him? Like he didn't do any illegally damage. Like he
He
did.
he destroyed the bathroom.
Yeah, but I don't think like you don't have hard evidence that he
You
did
have a
it.
video of him going into the bathroom and then
I
leaving
mean,
the bathroom.
okay, that's true, but I okay. This is a nitpick because it's a flaw. If you knew he did it, he should have been arrested. Like for real,
No, you would only be arrested if the museum uh, wanted to press charges,
which they
and they
didn't.
they didn't because
Okay,
the agreement was that they would fire him instead, and then he would pay them overtime for the repairs to the bathroom.
yeah, pay
So
overtime.
yeah, I mean it's like very
Okay,
nice of the museum to not have him arrested, but
yeah.
yeah,
Okay. I that was just weird. I think. I mean, this is a comic show, so I guess they were nice because I mean, I guess the organization is nice than the people. I will say, like, I didn't like her boss or his boss. I'm sorry. Um, I didn't like the guard. I mean, despite he was funny, but he was rude still.
hmm
And okay, so yeah, that one bugged me because I was like, he should be more in trouble. But I
yeah,
mean,
no, it definitely like I do not think in the real world any uh like museum or any like place of business would be that like
yeah, yeah,
forgiving.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And this one was just a rare exception, maybe.
Mhm.
Well, well, except for was it Baxter Robbins from Ant Man, like the guy, you
Yeah.
know, you know, the guy knew it, and like he's like, well, I'm gonna let you have this mocha like smoothie that what it was, and I was
hmm
like, okay, that's weird, but yeah, um, yeah, it's funny. And then like also like Tony's actions, like in the MCU, some of them were like accountable. Like he got in trouble, and then there was
hmm
others that like it was like well because we cannot do that for Tony because he's a hero and like kids
Yeah.
what
It's also different when you're like the head of a company
mm,
instead of like
yeah,
the gift shop attendant.
yeah. I call
Like,
this is discriminated with the middle class person. I'm
oh
saying
yeah, no,
that.
absolutely. It's yeah, but it's realistic that the gift shop guy would get consequences and the billionaire wouldn't.
Yeah, that's true. Um, I that's also I'm kind of curious. Do you think we're combining the billionaire to Mark? I'm kind of curious to ask you that.
Oh, do I think that we're gonna get the billionaire uh like personality?
Something in that vein. Like, I'm not saying like he's a billionaire. Like, he makes his fortune out of mercenary. Like, do you think
Ah,
we're gonna go there with Mark Spector if
I
we
I
think?
don't think so. Unless we
Okay.
get, I know there's a personality in the comics that has like a business and is rich and like funds everything that they do.
Yes, I do remember that. That was in
Um,
one of those runs I was reading. I
yeah.
just
So if we get that, then sure. But I think if they aren't going to use that personality, then I think they just have him be like
mm,
kind of a drifter, you know. Although I
yeah.
want to know how Steven is affording that apartment because he said it was his mother's, but we don't know
Yes.
if his mom is actually like if it's like Mark's mom that he thinks is his mom or if
Yeah.
it's actually just like something else is going on to pay for that apartment.
Yeah, that's another thing that was brought up that his mom is alive, but they haven't been in contact in a while
Right.
from Leia when he was like, oh, like because I think Steven say something about the mom and stuff. I think the house that Steven is living in, it could be like a safe house that Steven doesn't know. Like he is actually living in a safe house that Mark set up for him if he wasn't in control of the body. That I'm thinking that's more possible because you got the storage thing, the locker that we see in this episode. So I feel like that department is more like a secret safe house that is off the books. Like it could be happening that because Mark probably has connections, and you brought up Will about the business thing that always funds Mark and his friends sometimes with the missions and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Like we don't know if they're in this show as well, and like they're helping out Mark to be under like the radar, so
Hmm.
so that could happen. But yeah, I want to throw out like small comic book references that we saw, like the bus that was there during the action scene. Like the number had the Moon Knight's comic debut, so the series 032. That's the first issue, the Werewolf by Night. That's when we first have the appearance of the Kanshu costume, Moon Knight there. And then when this is funny. It was kind of cool to see when Steven became Mr. Knight. We got the weapons he used, and while he was Mr. Knight, that he used when he's usually in the Moon Knight form, not the Mr.
Hmm.
Knight. So that was cool. That was from the Warren Alice run. Uh,
Okay.
that the Mr. Knight. It wasn't from the whatever I was saying last week. So yeah, and then yeah, and I don't know. You caught this in the bus. The GRC was mentioned as well. It was
Yeah,
in
I
the
saw that there was an ad for that on the
yeah
bus.
yeah. So we got another one of that. That's kind of cool. That was great. And I mentioned the purple magic that was similar to the Harkness thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
it just a consistent like build up to the magic we're getting in the MCU, which is good. Um, and then we got like here or there like the baby Hitler debate that we got from Steven and Arthur. Um,
Hmm.
so that was kind of cool. And the person that did the soup, he was another comic book character, Youngton, that's his name. Um,
Okay.
that was from he's a comic book character uh, that worked with the villain in the 1985 run of Moon Knight issue 2. Uh, so yes, and I think what else? The police people. There
Hmm.
are from the comics. There were their real names were Bobby and Bill. They were like oldies that were working in the hospital where Mark was imprisoned by Emmett. This was the run I was talking about. The whatever run I was saying last week. But yeah. And we got one last thing is the Men in Ice. That's a reference to Captain America. So
Hmm.
so yes. And then Leia is a combination of main um Clem Wiz and Marlene Arlen, these two love interests of Moon Knight.
Okay.
So we made like a new character, but it's a combination of two love interests of Moon Knight from the comics. So yes, and then I mentioned the Chicago um, area. That's where Mark Spector is from in the comics. So yes. Any more things I had to bring up? Will, like, did we cover everything from this episode 2, Moon Knight?
Uh, I think we've covered everything that I wanted to mention.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I overall loved this episode. It was really fun and great.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I'm very excited for next week. I'm pretty excited for that. So,
Yeah.
Will, thank you for joining me for
Yeah, thanks
this.
for having me.
It's this episode was my favorite so far. I'm excited for the next couple of episodes. So
Mhm.
I'm very excited for the show. And I want to thank you everyone for listening to this podcast. Me and Will will be back again for next week of Moon Knight, the Marvel Plus talk. Have a good weekend, you guys.